2022 Lexus IS 500 F Sport Performance, the first of its kind. We've never seen an F Sport Performance vehicle before, so hopefully this starts a new trend for Lexus. But it's all about this particular vehicle with the legendary 5-liter 2UR GSE V8 coming back into the IS for the first time in 7 years after the discontinuation of the ISF in 2014. And man, it feels good. And at the time of this recording, I don't have pricing or packaging. So I'm kind of doing this review a little bit blind. So stay tuned at the end of the review because I will update you on pricing and packaging. I just don't know at this particular time, but it will be in the same video. You can skip to the end to see the pricing and the packaging if you want to. But let's start reviewing this IS 500 with the V8. Flip it into Sport Plus mode and let's rip. 472 horsepower at 7,100 RPM. Let's go back into normal mode because this is a Lexus after all. It still drives very comfortably. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 395 pound-feet of torque. And I did a bunch of 0 to 60 runs yesterday. The day before that, I did my full walk around. So make sure to watch both of those videos. And 0 to 60, Lexus claims 4.5 seconds. I believe it can get there. I didn't have quite the conditions to match that, but I believe this vehicle is capable of that. Now we'll kind of do a mini walk around because if you want more details on how this vehicle looks inside, outside, definitely watch my full walk around review. But we're going to talk about just the minor differences between this and the IS 350 on the outside and the inside, then we'll talk about how it drives. So on the outside, we have a 2-inch hood bulge and it sticks out from the point of view of the driver and the front passenger. You can see this hood definitely obscuring the view of the people in the front in a good way. Like it's not, I feel like it's not decreasing my visibility, but that hood bulge is there to remind you that there's a big fire breathing V8 underneath the hood of this IS 500. We have a new F Sport logo that you see on the sides of this vehicle and on this steering wheel. So the F Sport logo typically has a white background, but on this F Sport Performance tier, which is all new tier for Lexus, well, it has a black background. So it's not that much different. Only like a trained eye will be able to spot the difference between this and a standard F Sport badge. And then on the back, the last way you can tell this is an F Sport Performance model is the quad tip exhaust. And we haven't seen quad tip exhaust on the IS since 2014 with the death of the ISF, sadly, but this vehicle really feels like a modern day version of the ISF. But really on the outside, it looks super similar to an IS 350. And there is going to be a launch edition of this IS 500 called Incognito, which is a new paint color for Lexus. But I also feel like the IS 500 is kind of incognito. It looks so similar to the 350 that it is kind of unsuspecting, and then you can just do this to it and you're off to the races. Like, it is just crazy that we have this sort of power in the IS, and I wish this engine never left the IS. It feels so at home here. It feels complete in this IS 500. It would have been nice to have like a 6-speed manual or the 10-speed automatic transmission, but both of those are pretty unrealistic for this car, even though the 10-speed makes the most sense. The enthusiast in me really wants, you know, a 6-speed manual to mate with this V8. Beggars can't be choosers, and we've been asking for the V8 to come back in the IS ever since it was discontinued in 2014. We had to wait a while, but good things come to those who wait. This is a Lexus, obviously, but it drives like a Lexus. You know, I kind of expected that when I just reviewed the RCF a couple months ago. That vehicle, you could easily commute in that. This is even a softer riding experience. I mean, it kind of floats around when you want it to. And in terms of performance, when it comes to handling, it's not that much different than the IS 350 F Sport Performance. It does have an additional damper in the back, or should I say stabilizer bar, a Yamaha sourced one that stiffens the rear up a bit, as you would expect that need to be stiffening with all the additional power in here. And then you have larger brakes, 14 inches in the back and then 12.7 inches in the rear. So really it's just a slightly upgraded IS 350 that underpins this vehicle. But what's not slightly upgraded is the powertrain. I just can't stop. Any chance I get, I'm not gonna do 0 to 60, but any chance I get, and I flip it in Sport Plus mode, green pastures ahead of me. And it short shifted there. I wasn't full pedal to the metal. It shifted at about 5,000 RPM, which is fine with me because I'm already stopped with typical traffic. You know, you can't really test the vehicle's capabilities unless you have no speed limits and unrestricted traffic flow. But flipping it back into normal mode to make it a little bit more comfortable experience. Fuel economy. I'm getting about 19 miles per gallon, and that includes a couple hours of me flogging this thing with 0 to 60. So it's actually getting better fuel economy than I expected after me not driving this the most economically friendly. I guess I haven't talked about the interior much, and Lexus has taken the IS350's interior and given it in this IS500, so there are really no surprises. We have that other F badge here on the steering wheel, and instead of the dynamic handling package that has the ash wood at the top of the steering wheel, we have a traditional leather steering wheel all the way around, and we don't have ash wood around the window switches either. This is being the premium package. Again, I have no idea how much this premium package will cost, but I believe this particular model has nearly every single option on it. And we have the Mark Levinson, 17 speakers, 1800 watts. I blast this thing as often as I can because it is an amazing sound system. No pano roof, just a standard roof in here. We do have a sunshade, which I don't believe we've seen any sunshades in the last, 6 or 7 years on an IS here in America anyways. The circuit red interior is exactly the same as it is on the IS350. The only interior that's going to be unique on this IS500 is going to be that launch edition, like I said, that incognito pink color, but it also has a unique gray ultra suede interior that is unique to that vehicle. You're not going to be able to get it in any other model. Maybe they'll bring it back in future special edition IS500s, but your typical one is not going to have that unique interior. A couple more features. We have 360 camera. This has the triple beam LEDs. This does not have the carbon fiber spoiler like we see in the dynamic handling package 350. That should be an option though. Like I said, I don't have official pricing and packaging at this point in time. The 10-inch screen looks good in here as I have Android Auto plugged in. No full screen, unfortunately. We have the clock on the right hand side, but yeah, I enjoy the Android Auto in here as much as any other car. Heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. Shifter is the exact same as an IS350. And I feel like there are absolutely no surprises with this vehicle. It feels just like an IS350, drives nearly identically, except you just have another warp speed to it, and that is a good thing. There are no surprises here. It drives like a Lexus, it feels like a Lexus, it's as comfortable as a Lexus, and it has the performance, for all intents and purposes, of a full-blown F car. No, it doesn't have the carbon ceramic brakes like you see on the track edition of the RCF, and it doesn't have the Torsen torque vectoring differential. This just has the limited slip differential. Unless you're on a track, you're never going to notice those things, and even then you would have to be a hell of a driver to push the performance of the car to take advantage of those extra things, in my opinion. So who would this Lexus IS500 be for? Well, I definitely think it's for enthusiasts. It could work as a commuter car, absolutely. The unfortunate aspect is that it's rear wheel drive only, and that automatically takes away half of the buying population for this car, because half the United States has winters, and if you want to daily this car, and let's say you live in Nebraska where I used to live, you can't do it. It would be in the garage 5 to 6 months out of the year. So this is largely a good weather car. I know you could put snow tires on it, but let's be real, I would not want to drive this in the snow. It would be in the garage, absolutely, if I had to deal with that sort of business. Yes, the car brakes so well. It's so confidence inspiring. I know it has the bigger brakes on it. It does feel very similar to the IS350 with how it brakes, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And the progression in the pedals for both of them is actually quite a distance. So the brake pedal, which I like to have that progression, but the gas pedal, you have to really get into it for this thing to wake up, unless you're in Sport Plus mode. So I really have to bury this gas pedal for it to downshift and give me, I'm pushing it 90% down and it didn't downshift. So if you want to wake this thing up, you have to floor it because it likes to keep its gears, unless, like I said, you're in Sport Plus mode. So yeah, it's an interesting experience, and I think it's definitely tailored more for just everyday driving than it is compared to like an F model. Yes, I know you have different sport modes, but it definitely doesn't want to breathe fire unless you're full on pedal to the metal. So back to who is this car for? Fans of the old ISF, fans of the full F-blown vehicles that maybe don't want to spend an extra, I don't know, 30, 40 grand for an F car with all these options on it. And for people who love a V8, especially the Lexus V8s that are known for their bulletproof reliability. This vehicle is going to hold its value very well in theory. I mean, look at the ISF, that held its value very well. So this vehicle with its 5-liter V8 should also hold its value pretty darn well, and it's going to last a very long time with minimal maintenance. Should be extraordinarily reliable. This engine's been around for a long time, and we know it's essentially bulletproof. Transmission's been around for a long time, so that's essentially bulletproof. And the build quality and fit and finish of this vehicle is nearly perfect, as this vehicle has also been around for a long time. This is essentially the same thing as a 2014 model year IS, just with a few updates around it that they did for 2021. So the IS 500 is kind of like the closing of a chapter and the opening of a new one. It closes the chapter of the legendary naturally aspirated V8s for Lexus. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot more unless they decide to make an LSF with this 5-liter V8, which I think they could. I think they could absolutely do that to fill up the time before they bring out a new generation of LS, which won't be until like 2025 or 2026. So they could still put this 5-liter V8 and maybe one more vehicle in the Lexus lineup, the LS. But this is kind of like the closing of that chapter for the V8, not only for Lexus, but naturally aspirated V8s are disappearing around the world due to the choking of emissions. So it's like a modern day relic. So it's kind of closing that chapter, like I said, of the nostalgia of the naturally aspirated V8 that's been around for decades and decades and decades, especially here in America. But it's also opening a new chapter, being this is the first ever F-Sport performance model from Lexus. And it's really fun to imagine what F-Sport performance means going forward. To me, it means we're going to get near F-like performance at a lesser price and everyday livability. And so this is going to be a sweet spot for a lot of enthusiasts out there who don't want to drop $100K on a F-Sport, or I should say full-blown F model. And this is going to be just a really higher power output of the top of the line F-Sports out there, which I'm all for, and I believe Lexus has needed this in their lineup ever since F and F-Sport were debuted. What was that, in 2007? F came out with the ISF, if I remember correctly, and then F-Sport came out a little bit later. But I feel like F-Sport Performance should have been on the market for a long time now. Unfortunately, it took a long time for F-Sport Performance to come out, but I'm thankful that it did. And like I said, it's opening that next chapter for Lexus. So this vehicle is very, very iconic for the brand. Closing of the V8 era, and an opening of a new era for Lexus in terms of performance. And so I don't really know what else to say about the Lexus IS 500 F-Sport Performance other than I'm so happy that Lexus brought it back. And I can't believe I'm one of the first press people to get my hands on this car. I just feel super lucky, and I thank you guys for that. I'm gonna close this video. I'm gonna head to Trader Joe's, which this vehicle, it's a practical vehicle as well. Yes, your fuel economy's, I'm still getting 19 miles per gallon. It's not gonna be great, but you can use it for running the errands around, running the kids around. It's gonna be fine for that. I'm gonna stop myself from talking. I can continue talking about this car, the legacy of this car and the engine, but I want to skip into the future. So I'm going from July 21st to some unknown date in the future where I have pricing and packaging. So over to you, future Kirk.
Future or present Kirk coming to you now. It is late August, so it's been over a month since I've had the IS 500. I can't believe it's been that long, but we have pricing and I can't wait. I'm just excited to bring it to you. What else can I say? We've been waiting a whole long time for this, and I have some good news. All these prices are not including the $1,000 of shipping and handling, essentially. All right, destination is if you want to call it that. So the IS base, the IS 500 base, is just a hair over the IS 350 F Sport with the dynamic handling package. That's around $55K. So if you want to get the base grade IS 500, it's just, well, just, right? It's still $56,500, $57K if you include the shipping. I know it's the base model, and I don't know exactly how the base is packaged. I'll go over how the car I drove was packaged in a little bit, but there's just going to be a few different iterations. You're going to have a base model, the premium grade, which I drove, and then also a launch edition, which is not a good deal if you ask me. It's really expensive for what you're getting. So the base grade for about 57, 58K, to me, that's the way to go on this IS. Now, you're not going to get some of the crazy cool things like the triple beams and the Mark Lev. That's a tough thing for me, because if you want the Mark Lev and not the triple beams, well, you can't get it. You're essentially going to have to spend, I don't know, $5,000 more. That's $5,000 more, 56 to 61, just to get Mark Lev. That's really, really tough. But I mean, at least you have options. That's all I'm going to say. Like, the Mark Lev is really hard to give up because it's so damn good. I could care less about intelligent clearance sonar. Just be really careful when you're parking the car. Power rear sunshine, I could care less for, but the triple beams look good. But the standard headlights typically are better at night than the triple beams in my testing. So yeah, it's more of an aesthetic thing. But if you want the performance, you'll be getting it on the IS 500. It's going to have the upgraded brakes over the IS 350. It's going to have the dynamic handling package of the IS 350, but you get the 472 horsepower. Now, the launch edition, the incognito model, which gives you a badge. It's 1 of 500. So you get this limited edition badge that tells you which of the 1 of 500 it is. You get the cool all new incognito paint color, and then you get a gray and black interior. To me, it's not worth an extra $6,000 over the premium grade. Not worth it at all. I mean, the paint color is cool, but not $6,000 cool. And the interior, whatever. I would just get the normal black interior. So let's go over one more thing here. This is how the vehicle was priced and equipped that I had during the review, with the cloudburst gray and the circuit red interior. This is a premium grade, again, base, premium, and then launch edition. Now, you're welcome to pause at any point in time if you want to get into the nitty gritty here. I'm just going to slowly go down to the bottom where we can see the pricing, the exact pricing of this car. So there's the delivery, processing, and handling, $1,000. Premium paint, cloudburst gray is a premium paint? No, don't. I mean, unless you really like it, if you're going to get premium paint, go for the infrared paint color. That color is just so insane. Get infrared. It's gorgeous. I would take that over the cloudburst gray. So the vehicle that I tested, $62,575, which I don't know. I did a whole video comparing the TLX Type S compared to this vehicle. And for just a little bit more money, even if the base is just a hair more money, than the TLX Type S, but it's lesser equipped. If you want to get a similarly equipped, you're going to be spending about $7,000 more than the TLX Type S. But I mean, naturally aspirated V8, 5-liter, great sound, rear wheel drive driving mechanics. It's going to be lighter. So I don't have information on availability. I'm assuming it's going to be available in October or November this year. I don't have information on full weight or anything like that of this vehicle, but I'm going to assume that it's going to be a little bit lighter than the TLX Type S, which is, in my opinion, that's the biggest competitor to this vehicle. But I will end it there. I had so much fun with the IS 500. It was almost like a trip down memory lane. It felt like a modern version of the ISF, just with better technology, better amenities, a better ride, etc. It's just better in every single way, in my opinion. But that's all I have to share right now with the IS 500. It is so good to have the IS with a V8 back on the market. It feels like peanut butter and jelly, or bread and butter, whatever the combination you want to use, that you just can't get enough of, right? Ice cream and brownies, that would be mine. This is like ice cream and brownies for me. Anyways, I'm gonna end it there. If you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button, subscribe for more Lexus news and reviews. IS with the V8, it's back. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.